Please join us in welcoming Head of Hospitality for Emaar Hospitality Group, Mark Kirby, and President of Atlantis, Timothy Kelly, in conversation with Skift Middle East reporter Josh Corder.
I'll let you go in the middle. Is that all right? Very good. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good, guys. Can you hear us all right? So, Rafat was talking last night about the Dubai miracle, which I think everyone in this room is fully aware of, going from a fishing and pearling state to the room we find ourselves in today. And so much of that conversation is looking at the past of Dubai, and very little of it is looking at the future. So today I want to talk to these two gentlemen about the future of that Dubai miracle and how we can extend it beyond just what we have today. So, Mark, I'll start with you. Emaar has seen rapid growth and success, started under 20 years ago. How much of that success do you owe to Dubai?
Oh, it's a huge part of success to Dubai. Our growth from 2007 when we first started our first hotel up to now with almost 37 hotels, both here regionally in the UAE, but also GCC and beyond, has grown because of the collaborations that we've done together here directly in Dubai. If I think about some of the collaborations that we've done in order to grow those brands over time, you only have to look at the fact that the Dubai tourism, the government continues to support us in terms of driving business to the city, in terms of actually evolving our brands. If you give an example, one of our mid-market hotels, Rove, that we've got a JV partnership with, came on the back of the city wanting to welcome more and more people to the city, but at a different price point. So there was concessions on that. So that helped grow the brand from Rove overall. But also from premium luxury with Address and then into Vida, each of those was evolved as the city evolved, and really making sure that we had offerings for everybody coming in. So that was incredibly important. Only just the other day, there's a really good example of how Dubai collaborates so well in the fact of we're just about to launch our 4th hotel in Dubai Creek Harbour, which will be a palace hotel, opening within the next month. And it's quite a new destination. Not everybody knows about it. So I reached out to Dubai Tourism. I spoke to Izam and said, look, we need your support. We need to really focus on this destination. Within a couple of hours, I had a call from the Dubai Tourism. Khalid came down to see us. We sat with him. We started to brainstorm on what we could do to really collaborate together from a Dubai brand and also from an Emaar brand perspective as well. And it's that collaboration that's continued to grow our brands. And I think that every time each of the partners calls each other, everybody's there to support. And it doesn't just go between the tourism council, and it doesn't go between the businesses, but I can ring up Tim and say, Tim, I need help with such and such. And the hospitality teams together just want it to work and make sure that when we're bringing customers here into Dubai, that we're making sure that whole journey throughout all of our hotels is a very positive one.
Amazing. And Tim, similar question for you. When Atlantis The Palm opened, many people likened it to overseas resorts, obviously Bahamas, which is no longer part of you. How much of sort of your global recognition now is attributed to being a Dubai brand, and how much of it is attributed to being just a mega resort brand?
Well, I think it's both. I think, if you look at Atlantis, it's really one of the few integrated resorts, particularly in this hemisphere, that's quite special and quite unique, and that can offer a compelling, really diverse portfolio of different experiences to our different guests. And so as we looked at what Atlantis The Palm is today and what it services to now what Atlantis The Royal is today, that all of you are experiencing here, it's quite dynamic and quite different. And what we've been able to feel, particularly with the success of this opening in 2023, is a lot of interest. And there's a lot of interest around the world geographically, and now wanting to bring a form of Atlantis to the regions, to different continents, to different spaces and places. And so for us, when you're able to, I think, create something that's rather compelling and unique and special and different, like what the Atlantis brand is, it's big. And it's big for separate, countries and communities and governments in the sense of the level of build and the complexity, but the amount of dollars that are brought to the local community in jobs and resources and local procurement, and also long-term sustainable jobs. So that's kind of the effort that we look at. But for us, our objective is to obviously continue to export Atlantis now around the world on every continent.
Even Antarctica? That would be quite...
Not Alaska exactly. No, I don't know if that
Antarctica,
would work.
right?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in the room, they obviously oversee all of the Middle East, and they would say that Dubai largely is sort of where their flagship properties lie, just because Dubai can sustain that level of service and product. Are other markets around the world capable of introducing that Dubai style?
I think there are eminent threats on the horizon of those that want to emulate the secret sauce or the recipe of what Dubai is. And if you think of where this destination has evolved to today, soon it will have the most hotel rooms of any other city or destination in the world. And if you think of it, Las Vegas has kind of held that honor with about 155,000 rooms. I would say by the end of the next 2 or 3 years, we'll have 160,000 rooms in Dubai and growing to close to 200,000 by the end of the decade. And so if you think of that in terms of, one, not only this supply that's coming into the market, but then the demand to support it. So when you hear what Mark talks about with the amount of properties that they've been able to unveil and bring into the market, there's demand from that. And so we have a great infrastructure. We have a great relationship. We don't compete. We're partners. Yeah. And I think that's, for me, what's been very different. I've worked in Las Vegas. I've worked in Macau, other epicenters of hospitality, if you will. And here, it's a different form and frame of thinking. The government is your partner and your friend and a reliable resource, but so is your neighbor next door. Correct. And so we look to lift each other up. And I think that's what really makes our relationship special. In the maturation process of maybe some of these other eminent threats, it's going to take them time to catch up because there's a lot that has to happen. You have to have the airlift. You have to have the infrastructure. You have to have the skill, the labor, that skilled labor that can support your business and deliver that service expectation. So I see that it'll be hard to catch Dubai, but obviously if we become complacent, I think it could be possible, but I think it will be very difficult in the coming decade.
Yeah, they say the clock ticks faster in Dubai as well. For you, Mark, what Tim was saying, this massive supply that's currently in Dubai, it's a very mature market these days. You obviously got your foothold with Dubai, and what we're seeing these days is you move more into sort of regional growth and beyond Dubai. For you, what was the decision behind sort of putting Dubai, perhaps not on the back burner, but focusing more on other markets? At what point did that shift occur?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think we've ever put Dubai on the back burner because, as you see, we continue to open our hotels here. When Dubai has been expanding, we're part of those individual destinations here. So I think that sort of aligns to growth here. But also, as the brands have grown and they've become, well-known, well-loved, the minute we moved out of sort of the urban center of downtown into resort properties and the source market started to get to know our hotels, Dress Beach is a great example where we started to really service and look after a different source market of guests. That enabled us to then be well known to investors to come and say, look, we really like your brands and we'd really like to work with you. So from our perspective, going outside Dubai, it's not a new thing for us. Regionally, we've expanded into Bahrain. We've just recently opened up in Saudi Arabia in Jebel Omar. It's a 1,400 bedroom property that's really hit the market really, really solid. So I'm very happy about that. With Egypt has got some very prestigious hotels. We're about to expand that portfolio there, and then Istanbul, which is a key destination for GCC travelers as they move from Dubai. So where we start to grow outside of the GCC, we look very carefully at those destinations that we know that our guests who know our hotels and are very loyal to our hotels will want to travel to. That's incredibly important for us. So as we start to look at that, and we grew from Dubai to the Northern Emirates, and then we grew further afield into the GCC, and now looking a little bit further than that.
And how is it for you, sort of, without the hook of the Burj Khalifa or the downtown or that sort of stuff? How is it going into those other markets without that, Dubai safety net?
Yeah, I think it's a good question to ask, and Tim partially answered that. But I think, You know, the DNA of our brands is always, and it's the Dubai brand, and it's also Emaar Hospitality's brand. It's always about putting the customers first. So we look at every single touch point, and I'll give you an example of something that we're absolutely relentless on. And this is we look at our dropped calls. We have a standard in our hotels that we have to pick the international standard is 3 rings, 5 seconds, but we actually have a relentless focus on picking our calls up within 0 seconds. And if we don't, we call the guest back. This actually creates an amazing buzz for our guests, because our focus in everything we do is, commercially driving hotels is incredibly important, but that comes. If you look after the guest and you look after that guest journey, that is the DNA of Dubai and our brands. I'll give you an example of that. I remember straight after we came out of the pandemic, a lot of hotels saw the occupancy increasing very, very fast. And our workforce was probably not growing as quickly as the volume coming into Dubai. And Dubai Tourism reached out to all of us, everyone in this room, and we had a conversation to say, look, we need to look at increasing our guest satisfaction in our hotels. So, and we did that, and that was a push not only from the Dubai Tourism, but collectively together we worked on that. So it's very important that we focus on what we do so well in terms of looking after and really truly caring for our guests. Not just saying that we do, taking that whole journey from the booking stage right the way through to arrival into the hotel, number one. But then also really making sure that everything that we've been successful for in terms of our technology and how we push that in our hotels, we're innovative in our approaches. We look at the F&B, and we potentially don't do all the F&B in Emaar. We don't do the F&B fully ourselves. We bring in great partners that work with us. So it's really taking what we've done so well within our hotels and making sure that when we move to different destinations, we apply a lot of those same principles into the hotels. And we've seen that with Jebel Omar at Mecca, our latest address. We've been open now for 3 months. We are number 2 on TripAdvisor. We're ranking very high on Booking.com. And we were actually, really impressing the people in Mecca in terms of our service levels to that destination.
Amazing. And Tim, this is something you're sort of going through right now. I'm sure everyone in the room knows. Tim was, I would say, promoted up to the global president of Atlantis. Well done for that. I was very excited when I read it.
Thank you.
So what that means for you in the short term is you now look after the China hotel as well.
Yes.
How's that been for you going into a global role, and have there been any sort of Dubai practices that you've imported over to China, let's say?
Well, I think you want to, it's all about the brand and the distinct characteristics of what makes the brand special. And so when you talk about what are your pillars relating to service and the customer experience and the culture that you create for your colleagues, those are the elements to me that are super exportable. And those are the things that we want to bring into any region, location, or locale that we have. We want to make sure that we take great care of our colleagues, that we provide them with wonderful accommodations, that we support them, that we grow them, that we train them, that we develop them. And I believe that that's really one of our great success stories in Atlantis here, as well as what we would aspire and continue to want to deliver as well in China, is that you have this workforce that's quite talented that just needs development. And so for me, the core is it's all about the people that service our customers and making sure that we provide them a great environment to succeed. And then I believe beyond that, it's about having high standards of service. And what I say a lot about Dubai in particular, having worked in other epicenters of the world, is that this is really one of the very final frontiers of hospitality. And as we all travel around the world, you can see that sometimes certain organizations maybe cut corners, they pull back on certain services, they don't go all in on ensuring that the customer experience is as sound as maybe it could be. And I believe that as a community, we are earnest and steadfast in the fact that we want to be the very best, and that we drive and we believe in that collectively as a hospitality community. You see that in the results. I believe that the last 2 years we've been ranked number 1 as a destination on TripAdvisor, and that's something that's very important to us. So we look at the holistic sum of the destination and then say, how can we take this now for me and export it? And as we look at bringing Atlantises around the world, or as we're expanding into my organization, such as One and Onlys and Cyro and some of our other brands, that's what is, I believe, for us, a very compelling case, and a case that we make to investors.
I mean, I feel like Atlantis Resort isn't a hard sell to your investors.
This isn't a hard sell, no. I think it's quite a unique proposition, and The greatest compliment, I believe, of Atlantis The Royal is the fact that you've seen every hospitality leader from around the world visit the resort, whether the large integrated casino giants that exist to the gentleman that we just had with us just a few moments ago on the presentation. So we've seen an immense amount of interest in what I believe the next generation of a resort, particularly an integrated resort, looks like. And this is, to me, now the new benchmark, the new standard. And it's going to be interesting now to see what happens developmentally around the world with these other brands in the next 10 years.
I mean, how can you one-up Beyonce? I mean, what's after that?
I don't know where you go beyond Beyonce. That was
a little bit difficult.
Yeah, we call that the lightning in a bottle moment, and something that was super special and one of a kind, and I don't believe really could ever be replicated again.
Beyond Beyonce, that should be the new headline for this
Beyond
talk.
Beyonce. I like that. Yeah. I just don't have the licensing effect to do that, though, or the trademark. Yeah.
I just want to go to ask you, Tim, something that Mark was mentioning, which is sort of all the amazing support that a company like Emaar has from Dubai. As you move into markets, are you conscious of going into places where you have a similar level of sort of dynamic leadership as Dubai?
You have to have that outreach, and I believe one thing that's very important to me is when you go into a destination, you want to say that instead of someone reaching you and calling you on the phone and saying, we're interested in Atlantis, it really doesn't work that way. How it really works is that you go to the community, you go to the government, and you say, look, we would like to put an Atlantis here, and here are all the compelling reasons as to why, and you state your case, and you try to form that relationship, that bond, and that opportunity in that moment where if you can get someone with the same aligned core values that you have and the same belief systems that you have, then I believe unequivocally you then have a successful recipe. Once you have that alignment at the government level, then you can go find the investors. The money is there, the private equity money is there. That exists, in my opinion, still throughout the world, but it's a circumstance of if you try to go money first and then to a destination, it's not the same. So for me, the focal point is we go to the government, we make the connection, we assure that we're aligned with our core values, and then we'll go find the money. And I think that that's the best approach, because then we have really the story, and it anchors really the backbone of what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Amazing. Mark, you look like you wanted to add.
I couldn't agree more to that. You know, if I look at our property in Turkey, you know, we reached out initially when we opened up the property to the UAE Embassy. You know, the UAE Embassy has been an incredible support to our property in Istanbul. And that's obviously opened the doors even further to sort of the regional support as well. So we're getting, you know, our property is on the Asian side of Istanbul, and we're seeing a really great growth in that area. We've got the mall there, obviously the residential compound as well. But the fact is that we've actually built those relationships, like Tim said. You know, Dubai's success is all about collaboration. So if you start with that collaboration to start with, that really helps you. So in that destination, it's been extremely successful. We've just literally recently hosted a very important presidential delegation in that hotel overall, and taken the hotel out for about 3 days. So it just shows you that if you just go and work with the local partners, how you can actually build up support in the hotels.
And obviously, Emaar is very focused on, Alex Lee was saying similar things, Arabian hospitality, championing localization, all that sorts of things. For you, a local hotel group, you have a commitment to also continue sort of the Arabian hospitality story. How are you finding sort of plugging that into your regional markets and potential international markets in the future?
I think we do. I think we're finding it, I think people are actually quite surprised because, you know, as a brand here, we've grown the brands. Yeah, don't forget, Dubai started with international brands, and then we started to build our own brands. And I think that if you look at two of our key brands, which are Address Hotels and Resorts, Bida Hotels and Resorts, both of those brands are super well known now. I'm very proud because in the first 6 months of this year, from a brand affiliation, from an online reputation, we are pushing ahead of some of the most luxurious brands that you see out there. So I'm very proud that the fact that the team have worked so hard to make sure that those brands resonate outside of just not only the hotels, but also in the Dubai market and beyond. So I think that, you know, the fact that we, you know, when we go into a new destination and we take what the DNA that I talked about earlier, and we take the most important steps of those, You know, in Istanbul is a great example. Again, you know, we moved into that market, and a lot of the big hotels there were really, really taken by surprise. The fact that we moved in very, very quickly on an area that was potentially less well known in terms of the European side, but actually started to take not only a lot of team members joined us, which was great, really great talent joined us, but also, you know, from a customer point of view, a lot of people started staying there.
And another question for you, Mark. I'm not sure if you've given a figure to how big you want Emaar Hospitality to be, but as you expand more and more, how much attention are you putting on sort of attuning to that market, becoming a more international brand, or are you always committed to, if we're in a market, we are a slice of Dubai in this place?
How we look at it, we have been and we continue to grow organically. So we're not out there to say let's expand the brand in a 5 times way. We really want to make sure our growth is organic. We want to make sure, you know, we're moving on an asset-light strategy. So most of our international assignments are HMAs, not all of them, some of them. And I think it's really about making sure that, you know, when we look at a destination, the destination is the right destination for the people who come and stay with us in terms of a source market perspective, but also making sure that the return to the investor, the magic works. You know, the actual DNA of the hotel, plus making sure the feasibilities work and really making sure it's the right brand in that destination. That's when we then come together. We're getting so many leads daily coming to us for our brands, but you know, out of those 10 leads, maybe one of those starts moving, and we start looking at how we can come together. Because our belief is that we have to have the right brand in the right destination with the right investor owner. We want to make sure that's a partnership together that's going to last not 2 or 3 years, but for a long time. And that's where we really, from an organic growth point of view, that's so important to us.
I just want to, for you, Tim, you know, Mark sort of touched on the idea of priorities. For you, as you expand, as you take on this global position, what is your priorities in terms of, will these new resorts sort of feed back into Dubai? You know, Atlantis The Royal is your mothership? Or how does it work as you go global? What's the...
Well, I think Atlantis is so important to a community, and it's so important, as we talked about with the relationships with the government, that an Atlantis should be a lighthouse for the destination that it arrives into. So it should be the lighthouse, it should be the centerpiece, it should be the feature of that particular destination. And so it should stand alone, representing its own centerpiece of that particular destination in which it resides. And I think that has to be the belief system from it. We will bring the DNA. We will bring the elements that are associated with what Atlantis is and what makes it a unique and compelling and experiential product that it is today. But for us, we want the part of the sell and part of the hook would be, is this is a lighthouse for you. This is a project that would take you 5 to 6 years to develop and build and really to bring to fruition from a date of signing, and a lot of money to build and create. And so from that, it's really, to me, something where it has to have its own persona and its own identity, and I think that's what we would do. But we would anchor it with the same core principles that make Atlantis a successful enterprise.
I mean, as you said, it's, you know, the lighthouse of a destination. It is a colossal machine that thousands of people visit or dine at each day. With so much footfall, you have an immense opportunity to showcase Dubai if you wanted to, and feed business back into the Emirate. So surely you'd want to do that.
I tell our team, you know, what's unique about Atlantis is we stand alone. If you think of Atlantis Dubai, we stand alone against the world. I don't have the database of a Marriott or an Accor, or all of these other entities. We don't have resorts peppered all over the world. We are one of one in Atlantis Dubai. And so we have to go out and really go into every single market around the world and sell our best case, our proposition, our experiences. And that's what makes, you know, Atlantis quite special. Our investment in marketing is second to none, second to anything. There's no one that invests at the degree, at the level, and I think with the same state that we do, because we have to in order to represent who we are and what we are and to drive the business that we have. We have guests from over 180 countries that reside in both of our Atlantises. And it's a little bit of a different proposition mix. Atlantis the Palm skews very family. This obviously skews the inverse of that, but still has the family element. But for us, we have to really go out and state our case and drive business into the destination. And even with our Sonia product today as it stands, it's predominantly domestic Chinese, but still it's met with that same energy, that same flair, that same demand. And so in the end, we have to go out and generate and curate the business. And I think that's the compelling proposition. And that's why we're always reinventing the resort. That's why we're always unveiling new restaurants, new features, new experiences, building out the largest water park in the world, and continuing to redefine that space. What the team has been able to accomplish from a gastronomy perspective with Michelin stars. And so we have to be big, we have to be bold. And then obviously with the investment, we have to show a return at the end of the day.
It's a big investment. For you, Mark, where are some sort of international markets you think would really benefit your brand and benefit potentially driving business back into Dubai if that is a focus of yours?
Yeah, good question. I think that we're still, as I say, we're growing locally, regionally. There's still a lot of conversations we're having in Saudi Arabia. We have the pipeline project signed for Diriyah Gate for an address. In fact, I'm out there this afternoon, going out there to work on that project. So we're very excited about being able to grow further within the GCC. But we're having, like I said before, we're having very active conversations. I think destinations such as the Maldives, because of it's such a close proximity to Dubai, is great, and that will help Dubai, not only from a guest coming to stay in Dubai for a couple of days and potentially go on to the Maldives. We're looking at destinations such as China or Japan, so we're having conversations around that in different in different parts of our brands, from Address to Omani, in terms of those destinations. We're looking at Europe. We've got a couple of mindsets on making sure that we bring our destination to some of the home, the destinations that our travelers are going to as well. So there's quite a lot of active conversations, and it's just making sure that we find the right thing together.
And Tim, it's only fair to ask you the same question. Where are the markets that would present big opportunities for you guys?
Well, I mean, obviously, we want to be one on every continent. We're looking at, obviously, the Americas is an important space and place for us, and an area in which we want to be. Southeast Asia, certainly, even in the region, there's some opportunities. So I would say, hopefully, in the coming year, we'll have a couple of great announcements, and with that, we'll continue to build on that vision of interconnecting Atlantises on every continent.
And just as a final question to you both, so many people sort of look to Dubai for inspiration, figure out what these guys are doing, how they build such big hotels, such money-making machines. In simple terms for both of you, what is it that Dubai hoteliers are doing that other international hotel markets are not doing? What do you guys have for breakfast that no one else is having?
I think it's a service-oriented culture first. I think we still adhere to the fundamental principles that have always existed in hospitality from its inception, and what makes it different from the days of the innkeeper to what you are today. I believe that it's also how we have been able to attract talent, and how we care for our talent, and how we really grow and develop our talent. I want to say within Atlantis alone last year, we promoted over 700 colleagues. I mean, and that's quite a significant change in their career. And as they now progress through their lineage of life, they'll be able to reflect back and use, I believe, the Atlantis brand as a moment to propel them into then a greater role of significance. But to me, I think the core is that we work together as a community. We have a very nimble government that recognizes that tourism is a very important pillar. They want to drive visitation into it. The infrastructure is the success of Dubai. The fact that you're a gateway city, interconnecting to all the different continents of the world, the infrastructure within the city, the safeness of the city, and the fact that you can come here and be safe and feel, comfortable and real, and the fact that you're able to then come to different resorts with experienced talent that are able to give you a reason to come back when you leave. And I think so often
I think I just need to give Mark some time to talk.
Go ahead, Mark. We're at zero.
Mark,
you took my time.
I'll throw the same question to you.
I think I resonate all of obviously what Tim said, and we've talked about that throughout. The support, the collaboration. But I think that our talent similar to Tim, our talent has grown within. We have quite young talent running some very serious businesses, and that's great because they've grown within. They understand the culture of the company. I think Dubai I don't think we don't have time for breakfast. No, so
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't eat anything for breakfast. I think the fact that the city is moving so fast with so many different things. Just look at what we've done in the last sort of 24 months. You've had an expo, you've had COP. The fact the city keeps bringing more things for us to be part of, to evolve, to make sure that we welcome all of our guests into Dubai is just a really big part of what differentiates our hotel managers, our general managers from the rest of the world. We don't sleep. I can call any of my team at any time of the day or night, and they're there, they're organized, and everything's done. And I think that when you look at different parts of the world, maybe that they don't do the same. I think the fact that we are always wanting to do better, like Tim said, I think we were always wanting to push, and we're always wanting to change. We're always wanting to make sure that we are the destination is ready. I think that's always the key. Yeah,
Amazing.
And the people come here because they're inspired by this city and they want to come and work here. So there's a lot of energy going on there.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the panel.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.